අංක 19 දොස්තර කාවින්ද ජයවර්ධන මෙවර ගම්පහින් වැඩිම මනාපයෙන් පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට.
Tonight, on First at 9, this Wednesday, the 6th of November 2024. President-elect Donald Trump re-elected as the 47th President of the United States of America. Pledges to secure world peace during his second term in office. Acquitted. Dr. Shafi Shabin acquitted of all charges. Prosecution fails to submit sufficient evidence to proceed with the case. Fund reallocation. Government to use Transport and Highways Ministry's unused budget allocation to settle outstanding bills from the previous administration's road development programs. Parliamentary election. Parliamentary candidates issue their promises to the public ahead of next week's election.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දිනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go. කට්ට පරිස්සම් කරගත්තොත් අපි පරිස්සම්.
This is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Sri Lanka's premier primetime English news bulletin, Derana First at 9. I'm Tarindu Mahendra, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and from around the world. In your top story, making headlines tonight, Donald Trump was elected as the 47th President of the United States of America, following his victory over Vice President Kamala Harris. Trump's re-election caps a 4-year political comeback following his turbulent exit from the White House in 2021, which resulted in an insurrection at the US Capitol in Washington, D.C. Addressing his supporters following his victory, President-elect Trump vowed not to rest until he delivers a strong and prosperous America. Republican Donald Trump claimed victory in the 2024 US presidential election, defeating Democrat Kamala Harris 4 years after he was voted out of the White House. He claimed victory after winning Wisconsin, boosting him to 276 electoral votes. Trump's victory makes him the first incoming president to have been indicted and convicted of felony charges after his hush money trial in New York. He will gain the power to end other federal investigations pending against him. Trump also becomes only the second president in history to win non-consecutive White House terms. In his second term, Trump will be America's 47th president. Earlier today, he addressed a roaring crowd of supporters gathered at the Palm Beach County Convention Center.
America has given us an unprecedented and powerful mandate. We have taken back control of the Senate. Wow, that's good. We overcame obstacles that nobody thought possible, and it is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy?
President Anoma Dissanayake also congratulated the President-elect of the USA, Donald Trump, on his victory. President Dissanayake added that Sri Lanka is looking forward to engaging with the US administration in realizing common objectives that are beneficial to the people of Sri Lanka and the United States. The 47th President of the United States will be inaugurated outside the US Capitol in Washington, D.C. on the 20th of January next year.
Horizon Campus 2024 Intake 2. Register now.
පිරිපුන් ජීවිතයකට ඔබ සමගින් පෙරට Union Assurance.
Welcome to Cinnamon Life, South Asia's biggest entertainment hub, where awe awaits.
Sadaharita Plantations Limited, celebrating 22 years of your trust.
Cabinet spokesperson Minister Vijitha Herath announced that the government is spending approximately 1.1 billion rupees on former President's security details. During today's cabinet briefing, the cabinet spokesperson further stated that in future, security for former presidents will be assigned proportionally to counter the specific threats against them. Additionally, Minister Herath also revealed that the government has recalled 15 heads of Sri Lankan missions abroad whom he alleged had been appointed through political influence.
මේ ලැබිලා තියෙන પાස්පෝර්ට් ටික නිසි ක්‍රමවේදයකට තාම දී ගන්න බැරි වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඔන්ලයින් ක්‍රමෙත් සාර්ථක වෙලා නැහැ. පරිපාලනයේ සහ රාජ්‍ය පරිපාලනයේ පළපුරුද්දක් නැතිකම මෙතනදී එකපාරට මතුවලා තියෙනවද?
පළපුරුද්ද තියෙන කට්ටිය තමයි પાස්පෝර්ට් එක අනලා තිබුණේ.
The issues were initially created by individuals who were experienced but mismanaged the situation. After intervening, we have managed to improve the situation somewhat, and we have also been able to secure some passports. Currently, we are receiving passports in batches according to agreements made by the former government. We received 50,000 by the end of October, expect another 100,000 by the end of November, and an additional 100,000 by the end of December. There was no agreement to deliver all 750,000 passports at once. Now we must distribute these passports systematically, and we have resumed the online system to support this process.
Passport ලබා දීම දැන් ආරම්භ කරලා තියෙනවා.
ජනාධිපතිවරුන්ගේ ආරක්ෂාව ඉවත් කිරීම සම්බන්ධයෙන් විශාල කතාබහක් නිර්මාණය වෙලා. මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් මොකද්ද අරගෙන තියෙන තීන්දුව?
දැනට හිටපු ජනාධිපතිවරුන්ගේ
There has been no reduction in security. Former President Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga stated that her security was to be reduced to 30 personnel, but that is incorrect. She currently has 57 security personnel. Additionally, each former president has over 100 security personnel, including police and military forces. We have also provided security vehicles and ambulances. The cost of security for former presidents, including police resources and other maintenance, is around 1,100 million rupees, more than the allocation for the police hospital. This must be addressed. We have appointed a committee to review security arrangements, and based on its recommendations, we will allocate security for former presidents proportionately with special attention to any specific security needs.
විශේෂ ආරක්ෂක තත්ත්වයන් තියෙන අයට විශේෂ වශයෙන් ආරක්ෂාව ලබා දෙන පියවර ගන්න.
Online safety bill එක අලුත් ආණ්ඩුව ඉවත් කර ගන්නවා.
අපේ ප්‍රතිපත්ති ප්‍රකාශනයේ
Our constitution clearly states that we will amend the online safety bill. This amendment will take place once the new parliament is elected.
පටන් ගත්තට පස්සේ සිද්ධ කරනවා.
ශ්‍රී ලංකා විදේශ සේවයේ නොවන තානාපතිවරුන් සහ මහා කොමසාරිස්වරුන් කැඳවලා තියෙනවා. ඒ පිළිබඳ ලයිස්තුවක් අපිට දැන් ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න පුළුවන්ද?
විදේශ තානාපතිවරු විදිහටත්
There were indeed appointments of non-foreign service individuals to ambassador and high commissioner roles. We have recalled 15 of them. Not all were appointed through political influence. However, some of the lower level posts were filled directly by sons, wives and relatives of former ministers and MPs, and they have also been recalled.
හිටපු മന്ത്രിවරු ඇමතිවරුන්ගේ පුතාලා දුවලා භාර්යාවල් පත් කරලා තිබුණේ. ඒ අයත් අපි කැඳවලා තියෙනවා.
අර අර්ගම්බේ සිද්ධියේදී කිව්වා ඒක හොයලා බලනවා කියලා. දැන් ඒක ඇත්ත සිද්ධියක්ද එහෙම නැත්නම් ඇත්ත තොරතුරක්ද නැත්නම් කෝල් සලාමයක්ද කියලා.
අරුගම්බේ පිළිබඳව දැනට අපි
We have arrested 6 individuals based on intelligence and are questioning them. This matter has been reported to the court. It is too early to determine if the threat is genuine or a false alarm.
නැහැ. ඒක ඇත්තක්ද බොරුවක්ද කියන්න තවම කල් වැඩි.
The government has decided to manage the unused provisions allocated to the Ministry of Transport and Highways for the year 2024 in order to settle outstanding bills related to the previous administration's road development programs. Meanwhile, in a separate decision, the government has approved the use of the goal-face grounds for entertainment purposes to generate revenue for its maintenance. The rehabilitation program for a road network of 100,000 kilometers, which began in 2020, had been stalled due to a lack of required provisions since 2023. This program has an outstanding balance of 28.37 billion rupees. Additionally, 20 billion rupees has been allocated for the rehabilitation of essential roads in 2024, with 1,000 kilometers identified for rehabilitation under this initiative. However, it has been decided to use the ministry's unused budget allocation for the year to settle outstanding bills from these two programs. In a separate decision reversing a previous policy by the former government, the cabinet has approved the use of goal-face grounds, which had been banned for use for entertainment purposes since 2023, to generate revenue for maintenance. Currently managed by Sri Lanka Ports Management and Consultation Services, the ground incurs a monthly maintenance cost of approximately 2.5 to 3 million rupees. Moving forward, steps will be taken to administer goal-face grounds more systematically and transparently under the Clean and Green Goal-Face Ground initiative. A plan has been approved to construct 1,996 housing units for low-income individuals with financial assistance from the Chinese government divided into 3 packages. China Railway 25th Bureau Group Company Limited will construct 575 units in Moratuwa and 108 in Kottawa. China Harbour Engineering Company Limited will build 586 units in Dematagada and 112 in Maharagama. Shangxi Construction Investment Group Company Limited will complete the remaining 615 units in Paliagoda. The Cabinet has also approved the Prime Minister's proposal to accept a grant of 11.82 million metres of fabric from the Chinese government to meet the full requirement for school uniforms in 2025.
Fast track your career from O-levels with eSoft.
After O-levels, start your Australian university degree in just 8 months with ACBT's Foundation Program. Enrollments close on 21st October. Call 071 115 1234 for Colombo or 077 011 3223 for Kandy.
ඩයබටිසෝල් සීනිවලින් පරිස්සම්වන ඔබට අමතක නොවන පෝෂණය.
ප්‍රයිම් ගෲප් ලංකාවේ ප්‍රථම වතාවට හඳුන්වා දෙන ලෑන්ඩ් ලීසින් ලේසියෙන් මීටමක්.
Dr. Shafi Shabin, who was accused of performing illegal sterilization surgeries, amassing assets through suspicious means and having links to terrorist activities, was acquitted of all charges today by the Kurunegala Magistrates Court. The Attorney General's Department informed the court that there is insufficient evidence to proceed with the case against the doctor. On the 23rd of May 2019, a newspaper expose accused Dr. Shafi Shabin, the senior house officer in gynecology and obstetrics at the Kurunegala Teaching Hospital, of performing illegal sterilization surgeries on over 4,000 women who were under his care during their cesarean deliveries. Against such a backdrop, on the 25th of May 2019, Dr. Shafi was arrested for allegedly amassing assets through suspicious means and was later detained under the Prevention of Terrorism Act for allegedly having links to terrorist activities. During this period, several women lodged complaints against Dr. Shafi at the Kurunegala Teaching Hospital and Dambulla General Hospital, alleging that they were experiencing complications in conceiving after undergoing caesarean surgeries conducted by him. The charges against the doctor were taken for consideration today by the Kurunegala Magistrates Court. Following the Attorney General's Department informing the court that there is insufficient evidence to proceed with the case, the court ordered that the case be dismissed and the defendant, Dr. Shafi, be acquitted of all charges. The foreign travel ban imposed on the doctor was also revoked.
තමන්ගේ පුද්ගලික වාසි තමන් DIG සීනියර් DIG වෙන්න නැත්නම් තමන්ගේ තනතුර ඉහළ කරගන්න මාව බිලි දීපු එක නම් කනගාටු වෙනවා.
I am saddened by the fact that certain officials sacrifice me to secure professional advancement. I will take measures to ensure that this does not happen to anyone else in future. I served my country in my capacity as a doctor and I am willing to continue that service. I am also willing to lend any political support that I am capable of granting. As a Sri Lankan, I hope that the President will put an end to government officials soliciting political favors.
අපි ලංකාවේ පුරවැසියෙක් විදිහට ශ්‍රී ලාංකිකයෙක් විදිහට මම ලොකු බලාපොරොත්තුවක් තියන් ඉන්නවා.
Former Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara maintains that the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation's chairman's claim that CPC is unable to reduce its prices due to agreements with other retailers to reimburse their losses incurred through the implementation of the fuel pricing formula is false. However, Cabinet spokesman Minister Vijitha Herath asserts that the current fuel pricing system is based on the previous agreements formed by the government with fuel retailers. On the 4th of November, Chairman of the state-run Ceylon Petroleum Corporation DJ Rajakaruna stated that the CPC is unable to reduce fuel prices due to agreements with other fuel retailers who entered the local market during the administration of the former government. He mentioned that the former government had agreed to compensate the new retailers if they incurred losses due to the implementation of the fuel price formula.
There are other companies in the market. These companies also use the same pricing formula used since 2022 in accordance with their agreement with the government. Under these agreements, if these companies incur a loss, meaning they exceed their revenue as calculated by this formula, the government is obligated to compensate them for that loss. These companies have now sent us letters requesting claims and we must settle these amounts within 3 months.
Against this backdrop, former Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara yesterday took to X to refute the CPC chairman's claims, stating that the government is only obligated to compensate fuel retailers, including the CPC, if a fuel subsidy is approved by the government and granted to consumers. Meanwhile, today, former Minister Wijesekara convened a media briefing to comment further on the issue.
ලංකා කනිත්තෙල් නිධිගත සංස්ථාවට ආනයනයේදී පිරිපහදු කිරීමේදී බෙදා හැරීමේදී සිදුවන
way to recuperating its operational cost not based on the profits, losses or costs of other retailers. The CPC chairman said as per the agreements between other operators and the government, they have received claims for their losses. I urge the CPC chairman to study these agreements thoroughly. The agreements only mention compensations in a context where the government requests operators to deviate from a pricing formula or approves a fuel subsidy. In such cases, the government is obligated to reimburse retailers, including the CPC, for the deficit between their operational cost and selling price. I request the CPC chairman to inquire officials of the Ministry of Power and Energy about this matter if he lacks understanding. However, if he deliberately made a false statement to mislead the public, he must apologize. By appointing trade union activists aligned with the National People's Power and the JVP to top positions of these institutions, not only is their functionality being diminished, but they are also misleading the public.
අද මේ ආයතන වල කටයුතු අඩපණුවෙන් පවතින පමණක් නෙවෙයි ජනතාව මුලා කිරීමට පවා පත් වෙලා තියෙනවා.
Meanwhile, during the cabinet briefing today, cabinet spokesman Minister Vijitha Herath commented on the fuel pricing formula.
අලුත් ආණ්ඩු බලයට ආවට පස්සේ මිල අඩු කරා හැම ඉන්ධනයක්. දැන් ඒක ගොඩක් අයට මතක නැහැ.
As soon as the new government assumed power, we reduced the prices of all fuels. However, many have forgotten that. Recently, there was a reduction in the prices of 95-octane petrol in the global market. It was by substituting that reduction into the fuel pricing formula that the recent price reduction was granted. The pricing system is currently operating based on the previous agreement with fuel retailers.
එකඟතාවයන් මත තමයි මේවා යන්නේ.
President Anura Dissanayake emphasized the need to change the traditional operational modalities of the public service in order to improve the effectiveness of the government's development programs. The President expressed these views during a discussion with members of the Sri Lanka Administrative Service Association at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday, while highlighting that rural development and upgrading the social and economic well-being of rural communities is one of the government's primary objectives. The head of state called on public officials to cooperate with the government to successfully implement these initiatives. The President also stated that combating fraud and corruption is a top priority for the government and assured that the political leadership will not interfere in the public service, protecting their capacity to operate independently. President Dissanayake also called attention to the necessity of minimizing unnecessary expenses in the public service without diminishing its scope and efficiency.
Sri Lanka Decides 2024.
Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuri asserts that her party, the National People's Power, is committed to holding its members accountable for their actions. Addressing a public meeting, the Prime Minister added that the transformation currently taking place in the country has been commended internationally, hailing it as an example to the whole world.
A public meeting of the National People's Power was held in Kumbuka under the patronage of Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya.
මේ දවස්වල අපිව හම්බ වෙන්න එන බොහෝ ජාත්‍යන්තර සංවිධානවල
representatives of certain international organizations and ambassadors whom we met recently congratulated us and asserted that the transformation currently taking place in the country is an example to the whole world. The people of this country reiterated that the corrupt have no place in the country's politics. There are no thieves or fraudsters in our party. People may make mistakes. The discipline of our party is what matters the most. However, it is difficult for members of our party to commit any wrongdoings as we hold each other accountable and work together as a team. Even if they do, they cannot conceal it. Let us establish a powerful government in the country with a majority in parliament.
ඒ නිසා අපි මාලිමාවේ ශක්තිමත් ආණ්ඩුවක් පාර්ලිමේන්තුව තුල හදමු.
Former President Ranil Wickremesinghe requested the government to clarify whether it has adopted his Sri Lanka Can initiative by abandoning the National People's Powers Manifesto, A Thriving Nation, A Beautiful Life. During a meeting with a group of young attorneys, the former president noted that internal conflicts have arisen within the NPP, as some members have refused to support the government's decision to align with the International Monetary Fund as recommended by the Sri Lanka Can Initiative. Former President Ranil Wickremesinghe met with a group of young attorneys at his office on Flower Road today.
වැදගත් ලිපි දෙකක් මන් ළඟ තියෙනවා. ලංකා ආණ්ඩුවට විරුද්ධව මේ ණය බැඳුම් කර ආපහු දෙන්න කියලා හැමිල්ටන් රිසර්ව් බැංකුව අපිට විරුද්ධව නඩු දැම්මා.
I have two important documents. The Hamilton Reserve Bank has filed cases against Sri Lanka, stating that despite the previous government's agreement on debt restructuring, President Anura Dissanayaka's government has affirmed its intention to begin discussions with the IMF on repaying bond payments totaling $3 billion. But some of his supporters, however, are against the restructuring structure, meaning some members of the NPP are opposed to this approach. As a result, they do not trust the current government and wish to continue legal actions. On November 4th, Clifford Chance responded on behalf of the government. They confirmed that the agreements made with the IMF and bilateral creditors, as well as the ISB agreements, have been upheld by the new government. Furthermore, they will expedite the process. Now there is a question: which manifesto are you following? A Thriving Nation, A Beautiful Life, or Sri Lanka Can? You have agreed to proceed with the Sri Lanka Can initiative and to cooperate with the IMF. If so, has the NPP abandoned its own manifesto? Has the JVP and its Politburo accepted the Sri Lanka Can plan? Please clarify this for the nation.
ජනතා විමුක්ති පෙරමුණ දේශපාලන මණ්ඩලේ දැන් පුළුවන් ශ්‍රී ලංකා පිළි අරගෙන තියනවාද? අන්න ඒක රටට පැහැදිලි කරන්න.
Meanwhile, Samagi Jana Balavege leader Sajith Premadasa vows to fulfill all the promises made in their presidential election manifesto if granted a majority in parliament. Addressing a public meeting, Premadasa asserted that the incumbent government has failed to fulfill the pre-election pledges made to the public. Another public rally of Samagi Jana Balavege was held in Gampaha under the patronage of party leader Sajith Premadasa.
මම අහන්න කැමති අනුර කුමාර දිසානායක ජනාධිපතිවරයාගේ කෝවර වේදිකාවේ ආහාර පාන භාණ්ඩවල මිල අඩු කරනවායි කියපු පොරොන්දුව.
I would like to question President Anura Dissanayaka about the promise he made to reduce the prices of goods. Not only that, but what happened to the proposal he made regarding the reduction of fuel prices significantly. However, during a recent press briefing, the CPETCO chairman appointed by the incumbent president said that he is unaware of a commissioned amount. They even pledged to reduce the electricity tariff, currently at 9,000 to 6,000 rupees. Similarly, they also vowed to reduce the electricity tariff from 3,000 to 2,000 rupees. They also promised to slash both direct and indirect taxes, including the VAT, APIT and payee taxes. I pledge to establish a government of the common man after securing a majority in parliament following the upcoming general election. Following that, we will definitely fulfill all the promises made in our presidential election manifesto.
අපි අනිවාර්යෙන්ම කැප වෙනවයි කියන එක මම මේ අවස්ථාවේ ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා.
Leader of Sarva Jana Bale, Dilip Jayavira, says entrepreneurs should be sent to parliament in order to change Sri Lanka's political culture. Addressing a public meeting, Jayavira vowed to serve the public without seeking privileges if elected to parliament following the general election. Another public meeting of Sarva Jana Bale aimed at the 2024 parliamentary election was held this evening in the Daramaduwatta area in Paliyagoda under the patronage of the Alliance's leader Dilip Jayavira. We don't need the salaries or other benefits provided to parliamentarians. We will serve the people of this country without obtaining any privileges. That would be the difference in this parliament. We intend to submit this proposal to parliament. Entrepreneurs should be sent to the parliament to change the political culture of the country. Other nations employ the same mechanism. Unlike others who frequently try to make money, these people can genuinely work for the betterment of the people. We intend to be elected to the country's opposition in order to resolve the issues faced by the public. We will propose solutions to address the public concerns if the government fails to resolve them. Please cast your votes for Sarva Jana Bale as it will undoubtedly change your lives.
Sri Lanka Decides 2024.
Welcome back. Government has awarded the contract for 5 shipments of 92-octane unleaded petrol totaling 1.5 million barrels to Singapore-based Vital Asia Private Limited for delivery between December 2024 and May 2025. This decision follows recommendations from technical experts and the procurement committee after evaluating 7 bids. The Cabinet of Ministers has also approved the decision. Now we have Minal Vikramge from Capital Alliance with some thoughts on the current status of the economy in our next segment, Economic Outlook.
The weekly average weighted prime lending rate for the week ending November 1st decreased by 12 basis points to 9.05%. Meanwhile, the average weighted call money rate recorded at 8.55% on November 1st, slightly down from 8.5% the previous week. Overall, Treasury bill and Treasury bond yield rates held broadly stable during the week. However, there was a 28.4% drop in the total volume of secondary market transactions in both T-bills and T-bonds in comparison to the previous week. Earnings from exports rose by 6% year-on-year, amounting to $9.5 billion USD over the 9 months ending September 2024. On the import side, expenditure increased by 11.3% year-on-year to USD 13 billion. Consequently, the trade account deficit widened to 4.2 billion USD for the 9 months ending September 2024 compared to 3.3 billion USD during the same period of 2023.
Welcome back. The Colombo Bourse closed in negative territory today as a result of price losses in counters such as Commercial Bank, Melster Corp and DFCC Bank. The broader ASPI closed 0.6% lower at 12,719.03 points, while the more liquid S&P SL20 fell by 0.73% to close at 3,824.68 points. Market turnover was recorded at 3.1 billion rupees. The banking sector was the top contributor to market turnover. Foreign investors closed as net buyers, purchasing shares worth 199.7 million rupees. And now let's take a look at the corporate news segment for the day.
Innovatic Investment Lanka Private Limited, a joint venture between Sri Lanka's Apex Asia Holdings and UAE's Innovatic Investment LLC, announced the launch of the Abu Dhabi University Graphene Centre. The project brings together Innovatic Investment, Abu Dhabi University and the Sri Lankan Institute of Nanotechnology to explore graphene applications across various sectors. Meanwhile, the HNB plc announced its partnership with the KIU Group, a conglomerate that provides educational and professional opportunities to nurture the country's next generation of leaders. HNB and KIU Group of companies signed the MOU at the ceremony held at HNB Towers recently. In other corporate news, powered by AI technology and capabilities, launched Agent Force, a suite of autonomous, customizable agent and tools that work side by side with employees and workforce. Through this initiative, Salesforce aimed to revolutionize customer experiences for businesses across industries in Sri Lanka.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of First at 9. Thank you for joining and have a good night.